What is up, guys? Back to break down college football week 2. Going to be a fun day today. We got a lot going on. We just had EPL lock at 10 o'clock. Then now we have college football in a couple hours that will lock, and then even 2 more college football slates tonight. And then also we got NASCAR coming up this afternoon for the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series tonight at Richmond. So going to be a very fun day. Looking forward to today and then tomorrow as well. We got NFL. Looking forward to that. Been already doing some research on the sheet and everything for that. Going to be a fun one. But we're here to break down college football. If you have not joined us over in the Discord, hop over to patreon.com/JagerBombs. I've put the link in the bio or in the comments already. Down in the description, you can find it as well. It's $10 for if you do a single sport. If you say, I just want to do college football or NFL, whatever it is, to get access to the sheets and our Discord chat for that sport, it's $10. But if you want to do all sports, which is a ton of them that we're covering, soccer, UFC, NFL, MLB every single night, NASCAR. We got everything covered from top to bottom. Tennis, we've added tennis very recently as well. So that's $20 for all sports, and you get access to all of us in the Discord. We got a lot of guys in there that chat each and every day, so that's fun. So be sure to do that. We also have a Prize Picks promo code, and it is code Jaeger, and you get 100% match bonus up to $100 there. So be sure to try them out. And last but not least, we've very recently got a partnership with Fanshare Sports. So we have the promo code Jaeger for them as well for 20% off of your subscription. And that is very good for NFL starting tomorrow. They have a lineup optimizer. We've been looking to get with somebody who is providing an optimizer, and we've done that. So be sure to try them out. And also, they're obviously known for their ownership projections, which are very good for PGA and NFL. So be sure to check that out tomorrow. We'll for sure be looking at that. But let's hop on into the college football slate. As I mentioned last week, kind of the way that I structure these is I'm going to talk about the plays that I like. There's going to be teams that I X out, especially on big slates like this. I try not to go into every single team and bore you with saying I don't like these plays, or you can play some of them in GPPs if you want. I kind of try to go straight to the point. If I don't like a team, I'm not going to play them. I'm not going to talk about them. So let's go ahead and hop in. We've got first game of the day, and let me pull up the sheet for you guys here. All right, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit as well. All right, so first game is Pittsburgh and Tennessee. Pittsburgh is a 3.5-point favorite, 55.5 total. I really lean toward this Pittsburgh team. I don't like what we saw for Tennessee last week. Just efficiency-wise, they did not look very good. But the reason that I do like this game is because Tennessee, under Josh Heupel, plays very quick now. We saw that last week. So I think there's decent spots on the side of this game that you can play. And it kind of starts with the Pittsburgh side, like I mentioned for me. It's going to be Kenny Pickett, who I feel like has been there for I don't know how many years. He is priced up to $8,500. I think he's a core quarterback play, and you can pair him with their top wide receiver. It's not a cheap pairing, but Jordan Addison, $7,700 here. Or you also have Tasir Mack, who was really the top guy for them last year before Addison kind of broke out. So Mack at $4,400, I think you can go there as well. That's really the main three that I would target from Pittsburgh. On the other side, Tennessee still has some interesting plays. I think Joe Milton is interesting with how quick they're playing. He is $8,000, but he runs quite a bit. He was very inefficient passing last week, as you can see, 47%. But I think you can go there. You're going to get some rushing yards. He had the 2 touchdowns rushing last week. Go there in GPPs. If you're maybe game stacking this game, I might have a few of that. If you go Pickett and then run it back with Milton on the other side. Because of his rushing, you don't necessarily have to pair him with anybody. But if I am, it's going to be Jalen Hyatt, who was very involved last week. He had a couple drops that would have made it an even better day for him. 6,600 is not cheap, but it's not overpriced in my eyes. So I think you can definitely play Hyatt. The other one would be Tillman, and he is 5,300. Not really in love with that. I like Hyatt quite a bit more. And then in the backfield, this was the backfield we were majorly targeting last week. Tian Evans is still questionable, so that's some news that we're going to be watching up until lock. He's 6,300, but if he's out, you can definitely play small at 5,800 if you wanted to go that route. 22 carries, 116, and a great matchup last week. Not as good this week, but like I said, they play very fast, and if he's going to get the bulk of the workload, I think we can look there. If Evans is in, it'll be an avoid spot for me. But I do lean that Pickett to Addison stack out of this game as being the top one. Not going to spend as much time on every game as I did that one, but that is an interesting one to me early on in the slate today. So the next one is Tulsa at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, a -13 favorite, 51 total. Tulsa is going to be an X for me. Not really looking to go there on this big of a slate. Oklahoma State, Spencer Sanders, it looks as if he will return today after missing last week due to COVID. The receiver core, I think Spencer Sanders, you could play him, but he's not really a guy that I like to play. He's kind of underwhelmed for years in DFS. Maybe he's improved, maybe he hasn't, but the Tulsa matchup is not spectacular by any means. They're obviously projected to put up quite a few points, 32, but not really one that I love. The receivers, Tay Martin was very good last week. I think you can go there. He was up over the 100-yard mark. But I think my favorite play in this game is going to be the value receiver here for Oklahoma State, down at 32, I think, 3,300. Bryson Green is a starter. He had a lot of the snap count last week. 3,300 is a very good price for him. And like I said, you don't have to pair him with Spencer Sanders by any means, but you could play him as a one-off in this game completely. And that's kind of where I'm looking. The backfield is just too big of a split for me for Oklahoma State, and not the best matchup there either. So let's go ahead and move on. This is an interesting game with South Carolina and East Carolina. South Carolina, obviously the SEC, you would think very overmatched for ECU, but we got the new coaching staff for South Carolina. They looked pretty good last week in a game against a much inferior opponent. East Carolina is decent, nothing spectacular here, but South Carolina is a -2 favorite, 56.5 total. I think you can go to some of these South Carolina pieces in the backfield. And if you look at where that starts, we're going to have Kevin Harris back this week, 7,500. Shane Beamer, their new coach, son of Frank Beamer, obviously. I think he's going to look to get it going on the ground against East Carolina. And the press conferences from the week, he's kind of talked about that Kevin Harris will not be limited. I think you can definitely go there against an ECU team. A guy who broke out last week, though, for South Carolina was Zaquandray White at 4,900. I guess you could play him in GPPs if you think that Harris is limited, or you think they're going to blow him out and White will come in as they get Harris some rest. Strictly GPP only for Zaquandray White. Sorry. Kevin Harris, though, I think I have him listed as a secondary option right now. You're going to see when I do my top targets, which that will be up as soon as the show is over on this tab of the sheet, that he's probably going to move up, I believe, in my rankings a little bit. I really like him today against this team. All right. I mean, you can see last week they were not good against the run. I have updated the stats to all 2021 stats. So they were not good last week against the run. On the East Carolina side, Holton Ahlers is now, I think it's his third year. He's a fine GPP option at quarterback. The problem is there's not really anybody I love to pair him with. He's 7,100. He does run some, threw it 40 times last week. He did mix in the running backs quite a bit. Keaton Mitchell and Rajay Harris were very much used in the passing game. I think you could take a shot on one of them. And then my favorite receiver would be C.J. Johnson. Where is he at? There he is, 5,400. He would be, and I don't have him even highlighted yet, but I would have him as my top receiver for them. I think Snead would be the other option, but C.J. Johnson's kind of the big play guy. So if you're going to play anybody from ECU, I think it would be those two, or maybe one of the running backs for the receiving threat. But favorite play in the game is going to be that running back side for South Carolina. So Kevin Harris is the top option for me in this one. And then we get a marquee matchup, Pac-12 versus Big Ten. We got Oregon traveling to Ohio State. Ohio State minus 14.5 favorite, 63.5 total. And I just got some news that came through on my phone. Tay Martin for Oklahoma State, who I mentioned had a very good week last week, is now questionable. That just ups my let me change him to questionable. But that really just ups my interest if he's going to be limited or anything in Bryson Green. That is going to be a nice – oh, gosh, we got a lot of more news. Braden Johnson and Logan Carter, the tight end for Oklahoma State, are out today. Tay Martin, questionable. Bryson Green has quickly becoming one of the top values on the entire slate, and he's 3,300. So I'll keep an eye on that and continue to update you all. And I've not checked the chat in a little bit, but if you all have any questions, and I'm looking at it now, Randy, nice to have you in here. Dustin, nice to have you in here as well. Buckeyes, yeah. I'll get to that in just a second after I finished up that injury news. But if you all have any questions, drop them in the chat. I'll check back periodically, but I'm looking at the sheet here a little bit as well to show you guys this. But Ohio State, Oregon, and I know, Dustin, you're a Buckeyes fan, but I've heard a little bit that C.J. Stroud is questionable a little bit. It's not so much that he's not going to play today, but he was injured, or from the rumors, he was injured a little bit last week, and he is going to getting some more news coming in. Nothing crazy. I don't know how much they're going to win by, but Stroud, I think he's a little questionable. He's a little injured from last week. I think he plays. From what I'm seeing is he is going to play, but will they pull him if they get up a lot? I don't know that answer. Maybe you have seen anything on this, Dustin, but it's going to be a fun trying to figure out about this team. I think the most underpriced play on the slate is going to be the receiver, Garrett Wilson. It's just, I don't know where they come up with 5,900 for Garrett Wilson, but that is insane to me. He is definitely a core play. And then the other side, you've got Chris Olavey, who we know can crush any week, 7,200. I think both of those are in play. And if we get news that Stroud looks good in warm-ups or whatever it may be, I think you can pair Stroud with them. I mean, he was, before I started seeing things like that, he was one of the top options for me. So I think you can pair him there. And then the running back situation for them is a little murky, but I think you can go to Kyron Williams or Travion Henderson. Williams would be kind of the first option. Henderson, I think he's going to continue to get more work at running back for them this year. I mean, he's their top recruit. Looks to be the guy of the future for them. Pickett, yeah, I definitely like Pickett paired with Addison and maybe Mack. Let's see, Dustin, our backup's just as good. Yeah, I don't. It'd be tough for me. I'm obviously not playing the backup unless we get news that Stroud is out. But that could be a GPP option if he is for sure out. Clifford over Pickett. We'll get there in a bit. I definitely do like Clifford today. I've never liked Sean Clifford, but I am today. So we'll get there in a minute. But Oregon, on that side of the ball, the only interest I even have in that game or for Oregon in this game is the quarterback. I mean, Anthony Brown, 6,900, does a ton of running. It's kind of tough, though. You don't have any – there's no receivers I want to pair him with. The backfield's murky. Verdell and Dye just kind of mix and match throughout the day. So Anthony Brown would be the absolutely only guy I would consider for Oregon, and I'm probably not even going to get to him, to be honest. But the Ohio State side, I mean, we're going to have interest in them every week. Stroud or whoever starting at quarterback with Garrett Wilson, Olavey, and then the running backs, Williams and Henderson, like I mentioned. So that's a very interesting game, highest total that we've had on the slate today, 63.5. So definitely got to have interest in Ohio State. Florida and South Florida. Florida minus 28 favorite, 58.5 total. And this is really a game that I do not want much part of. I think Florida blows them out. They showed last week they're going to keep it on the ground a ton. I think they're able to do that, but I think you're going to see a good mix and match. If you play one of the running backs, you're going to need the touchdowns early on in this game because they could be set a lot. I mean, South Florida is horrible. They've been horrible for years. I think Florida pounces them. And really, I mean, you could play Emory Jones, but he even split time at quarterback last week. And I don't think that I'm going to get there today. Especially with where he's priced. I don't know how 9,000 sounds for Emory Jones unless he runs for 3 in the first half. So not really a spot that I'm targeting at all in this game today. Kind of a cross-off for me. So Rutgers, Syracuse. Rutgers a minus 2.5 favorite, 51 total. I kind of like this Rutgers team overall. Not super DFS friendly with Vedral, or however we're going to say his last name. I like I've said on all these videos, I butcher names all the time, especially in soccer. But Bo Melton would be my favorite receiver. He has the lion's share of the targets for them. I think you can play him for sure in GPPs. But then Pacheco at running back, he splits time as well. Not really a guy that I'm in love with, 5,200, but he should get the majority of the work if you want to go to that side. Bo Melton is mid-range, 5,700. So those are kind of the only two options that I would look at for Rutgers. Syracuse is very similar. I have two options for them as well. And one is Taj Harris, who is definitely going to have the majority of the targets. How good they are, it remains to be seen with Tommy DeVito, who is just not a good thrower, not a good quarterback in general. And I think your only other option for Syracuse is the running back situation. Sean Tucker saw tons of carries last week. I think we could see them try to stick to that again this week. 25 carries in week one. I think you can go back there. 6,800. Not my favorite running back by any means, but could be in the player pool in the 20 max for sure. Next, we got Notre Dame as a 17-point favorite against Toledo. Listen, Toledo is no pushover in MAC terms, but this is Notre Dame. I think they're going to handle them pretty well. I think this line has crashed during the week from what it started at, but 56 total. I think we can definitely look at the Notre Dame side. The only one I would even mention from Toledo was Bryant Kovac, the running back. He does get involved in the passing game. Notre Dame wasn't that great against Florida State on the ground, so that would be the only guy I would even mention. Notre Dame, Kyron Williams, 7,300. I think he's one of the core running backs for me today. It's between in the top range. It's an interesting dilemma up there for me. I think for cash / single entry type deals, it's Kyron Williams 1, Kevin Harris, Zamir White 1B, and then I would say Breece Hall would be 1C or 2, but we'll get to Breece Hall. There, he's in the last game. I think he's a very good contrarian GPP option today with what happened last week. So, but Notre Dame, Kyron Williams, he's probably not going to get tons and tons of carries, and they got some question marks on that offensive line, especially after last week when they did not look very good. I mean, 18 carries for 42 yards against Florida State. They get a good matchup, a decent matchup here against Toledo. So I think Kyron Williams, he will get involved in the passing game as well. So you can go there for sure. I don't think we're going to see Jack Cone throw for the amount of passing yards that he threw for last week. 366 and 4. I don't know how many times we're going to see Jack Cone do that this year, but he does have a little bit of rushing ability as well. I think you got to kind of decide what side of this game you want to play. Do you want to play the running back side for Notre Dame with Kyron Williams, or do you want to play Jack Cone? I don't think you play both sides. I think Jack Cone, if you're going to play him, you definitely are going to pair him with Michael Mayer, who saw tons of targets last week out of that tight end spot. That was a very impressive performance over the weekend. I think that price stunned me a little bit, but looking at the amount of targets and receptions that he got, how involved he was for this team, you can definitely play Michael Mayer today. And then Kevin Austin hit the big play touchdown, 4 for 91 and a touch. He's 5,800. So either one of those you could play with Cone. If you want to play one of those and Kyron Williams, I think you can definitely do it. I don't love Cone today at 8,900 and the second highest price quarterback. Moving on, we got Georgia and UAB. UAB a plus 22.5 dog and a 44 total. They're projected for 10 points. Very easy to X them from your player pool, especially after what we saw with Clemson last week do against Georgia, which was nothing. The Georgia side, we're going to have some news with JT Daniels probably out today from everything that I've seen. Carson Beck will start if that is the case. I don't like the passing game here for Georgia at all. I think they try to keep it on the ground today with a few different running backs. But the receivers are banged up for them. The quarterback obviously banged up. I just don't like that situation. So that's where it leads me to Zamir White. Even though he's 7,700, that's kind of priced up a little bit for a guy who got 13 carries in a close game last week. You're kind of banking that he's going to get some touchdowns there. I don't think you're going to see a ton more carries. He's not a major workhorse type guy. but he has big playability, and I think they're going to try to keep it on the ground. That's the route that I'm taking for Georgia. If you do think it's a blowout, or you think they mix in a lot of running backs, 3,200. We have a running back, Kendall Milton, who I think they could mix in. Obviously, now with the Oklahoma State receiver news, I don't think you're in dire need of Kendall Milton by any means, but I think you can definitely play him against a UAB squad that they're going to pound on the ground, I think. And back, just touching on one more thing made me think of Oklahoma State. I don't have time to do it while we're on the show, but something I'll definitely be looking into with all of those guys potentially out is some other guys besides the starters and the cheap receiver. There's probably some more value there, but that does downgrade Spencer Sanders a little bit for me too. California and TCU. TCU 11.5-point favorites, 46 total, so very low for college football. But I think there is some interest here for me. Cal is not the side that I'm super interested in, but Damian Moore got a majority of the work, which was expected to be a 50-50 split coming into the year. I think you could play him, but definitely not a priority. TCU, Max Duggan, or Dugan, a guy that feel like has been around for, I don't know, 6-7 years at this point, but we know he's got some rushing upside. You can pair him. His favorite receiver, it looked like in their first game, was Quentin Johnson. Had the most targets. Savion Williams is a little cheaper. I think this is a good matchup for this team, and I think you can definitely go to either one of those. Quentin Johnson is 5,100. I think he's a very good option in that mid-range. And then, let's see here. Savion is definitely cheaper. Savion is 3,900. So I think you can go to either one of those. I think if I'm playing Dugan, I would pair him with one of those receivers, even though he has some rushing ability. Tay Barber is a guy that in the past we have paired with Duggan quite a bit. I don't think I'm going to get to Tay Barber today. Just don't think that's the spot. And the backfield being a split, I won't be going there either. So the TCU side is where I do lean on that one. 3 more to go. Texas A&M, Colorado. Let me check and see if there's any good questions. Braden Johnson. Yeah, that was what I was just talking about a bit ago. As soon as that popped up, that opened up the value, or we already had it. I was already going to play Bryson Green at 3,300. But if he's in without all those guys, that'll be one of the very top options. Like I said, one of the top values on the slate overall. And I know there's got to be some more. I need to dig into it a little more. I wasn't going down to the 4th and 5th receivers for Oklahoma State, but I'm sure there's some other guys that will be worth targeting there as well for GPPs. But back to Texas A&M, Colorado. A&M a minus 17 favorite in a 50 total. This is a very good spot, I think, for Texas A&M. Spiller is a very good option at running back, probably the top one for me today with Price. Looking at Price, 6,700. He was over 100 last week, 17 carries in a game that should be a little closer than last week, I would think. And listen, Spiller is going to have some work taken away from him, by Devin A-Chain. But he should have the majority of the work in this game, especially that it's on the road. It's a fairly close spread. I don't think they go completely away from Spiller. So he's the top running back option for me today. I think you can play the quarterback and receiver pairings here. Haynes King threw 3 interceptions last week, but I think they get him involved a little bit more running this week. So you can definitely go there, and you can get him paired up with Ainias Smith, who would be the top receiver option for them. For me, the transformed running back at 7,600, spent most all the time last week at receiver, 8 for 102. Very dynamic guy. And then Jalen Werdemeyer, the tight end, I think you can play him as well if you're pairing him with King. Or you can play Werdemeyer by himself as well for GPPs. On the other side, Colorado, the only guy I would even consider is Broussard, and I don't think this is the matchup against a Texas A&M team that I don't think is going to be giving up tons and tons of rushing yards. He'll have the volume, but not a spot that I'm going to go on this big of a slate. All right, Penn State, Ball State. I know some of you mentioned Sean Clifford, a minus 22 favorite for Penn State, 58 total. Yes, Clifford is one of the top quarterbacks for me today. And we've got my favorite stack pairing of the week is going to be Clifford at 8,100 and pair him up with Jahan Dotson, 7,000. Looked very good last week. Ball State is not going to be able to stop this team. They're going to get gashed, I think, through the air. So that's definitely my top stack of the week is Penn State. Dotson on the end of that for sure at 7,000 from Clifford. I think you could play. That's really as far as deep as I'm going to go. I don't think you need to go to any other receivers for Penn State. Noah Kane in the backfield looked good last week. Got a majority of the work. Looked to be healthy. 6,400. I think you can go there if you wanted to, but I do favor the receiving or the passing game for Penn State. Last game, and I won't have any Ball State. Not a spot that I'm going to target against Ball State or against Penn State. Iowa and Iowa State, a very low total. 4.5 point favorite for Iowa State, who looked abysmal last week. I mean, they almost lost. But they're going to be up for this game at home against rival Iowa. Maybe they were overlooking last week. So I think you can definitely play a couple pieces from this game. Iowa State, I think one of the most interesting GPP looks for the week is Breece Hall at 8,000. He still got the work last week, 23 carries, 69 yards, which is not very good. 4 catches for 31 as well. I think people are going to be down on him in a low total. And just seeing what he did last week, burning quite a few people, I think people are going to go other directions. So I think Breece Hall is a very good GPP option. He's going to have a ton of volume again. They're going to rely on him. Brock Purdy, I think you could play him if you wanted, but I do lean the running game in a low total like this. If I'm going to go, it's going to be the backfield. But Brock Purdy, I think if you were going GPP, you could pair him with Xavier Hutchinson. Let's see, where is he at? 6,000. He had a nice week last week. But Charlie Kohler was out at 4,600. The tight end, I think you could go back to him as well, either by himself or with Purdy. But definitely Breece Hall, favorite GPP option on that side. And for Iowa, the only one I would even consider is Tyler Goodson. He's going to have a lot of work. Not the easiest matchup, though. Had 19 carries for 99 last week. So I think you could go there at 7,100 as a secondary pivot off of some of these other guys like Kyron Williams. So any questions? I'm going to play Lambert also at 3,900. Let me check here. Sure, if you're double stacking, I don't know that I want to double stack Penn State. I kind of want it all running through Dotson. I think he's the best play out of their receivers on the slate. I think you could, though. I think he's a decent GPP option if you want to go the double stack route. And even then, you don't even necessarily need to run it back with a Ball State side, because they could definitely win this game 31-7 or something. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. But yeah, Lambert is fine if you wanted to play him. Not a guy that I'm looking at. Hall at 22%. One QB day for you. Not for me. Rarely ever is a main slate with this many games going to be a one QB day for me. I think there's enough options at quarterback that I will not be doing that. Clifford, Pickett. I'm trying to think of my rankings at who would be third. But there's plenty of options here. Cone, if you wanted to pay up. I mean, third is probably Stroud if he's in, for sure. Even though they could definitely pull him early if they get up big. But Oregon's no just easy pushover. So I think Stroud would be 3 for me. Yeah, Tay Martin is out. Okay, so he is out. And you mentioned Spillman. Like I said, I had not. I don't really like that the rest of that TCU. I don't know if I would say auto play, even though he's 3,000. Not when we have Oklahoma State situation now. But he's fine if you want to pair him with Duggan instead of one of the top guys for him. Sure. Checking on some more questions. KC was asking about the 2 QBs. I just touched on that. I don't think it's a day for me that I don't play 2 QBs. Let's see here. Check if any more news came in besides Tay Martin. And I've not found yet that Tay Martin was for sure out, but I'm still seeing questionable on Tay Martin, but maybe you have a link or something there. But we'll be in the chat up until lock. We got about an hour and 20 minutes. Contest selection-wise, I'm looking at single entries and looking at the 20 max today. Let's just take a look at it. Let me share my DraftKings screen with you, see what is left, because I've actually not reserved my 20 max yet. I've reserved the single entries, and I'm hoping the 20 maxes are still there. So let me check that. Let me share my screen. All right. You can see where my head was at, EPL head-to-head. So that was the last thing that I was on DraftKings. But CFB, all right, we got the main slate today. 12-gamer. Yeah, so something that I'll probably get into a little later in the year is the 333. I played it more towards the end of the year than I did early in the year, but I was starting to like some more single entry stuff later on once we kind of got a really good feel for this stuff for all these teams. But I think right now where I'm looking, and it's really scaring me that these are filled up. No, we still got plenty of room. All right, so contest selection wise, for now, early in the year, I'm leaning much more toward the 20 max and single entry. So we got the $4 20 max is one that I'll be in today. 2,500 to first. I've always liked the 20 max, so I'll be in that one. If you don't want to do $80, you want to do 20. You got the $1 20 max with 1,000 to first. I think that's a good contest. And then the single entries, let me check and show you the ones that I have reserved. I think they're full maybe. I've not got any EPL. Well, it looks decent so far, actually. So, but these are the two that the $5 and the $12. I hope you all got in those. And I saw that they had some other ones or new ones posted, the secondary single entries. But this is the $5 single entry, 2,000 the first, 1,900 entries. I like that one. Every week. And then the $12 with 784 entries, 900 to first. Pretty flat payout structure there in the top 10. I think you can definitely go there. So if there's no more questions, no goals, oh my God, no goals yet. Well, okay, action saying that Tay Martin's out. All right, thanks. Yeah, that definitely solidifies our value play. No goals in EPL, and we're 40 minutes in. That explains why my winnings look good with all the floor plays. So any more questions real quick? I'm going to hop off here. I'll be in the chat. I will have my rankings up by 11 o'clock in the next 15 minutes. If you all have any questions, drop them in the CFB chat. Hop on over. We may have a NASCAR Cup show today. Not 100% sure. I know Chris has got a lot going on today, so be on the lookout for that possibly. But if not, hop in the chat. We'll be discussing that up until lock today. Going to be a fun afternoon and night. So good luck to everybody today. We'll have the college football night and late night sheets. They're already up. We'll be covering those as well. So let's crush again this week. Good luck to everybody.